All right, and welcome to Proper Modulation,
Hey now.
episode 5. I forgot to start out by saying, hey
Hey
now.
now.
The problem is I have 600 episodes of CADcast where I say the same exact thing for over 600 episodes. So to break out of that mode, I really just need to write down exactly what I'm going to say in the intro.
Oh yeah, that
Anyway,
won't sound canned at all.
no, no. Well, I can read it with a natural touch.
I've heard your commercials.
I'm literally a professional podcaster,
That is the truth.
sort of. Not tech. No, no, no. We don't want to get it too much into that. How you doing, Kurimanju?
Kurimanju, man, it's been a tough week. I gotta tell you, okay, I'll pick one thing to complain about because there's too many.
Time for the
My
airing of the grievances.
airing of the grievances, exactly. My cell phone decided to break on Friday night after this is like my most fun part of the night because I like dance around, I listen to the theme song, I laugh at stupid jokes,
You have an
and I have my own
adrenaline rush
personal.
from doing this show, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like it's
You're jacked
different. You're
up.
stuck in your house. At least it's something new. It's not work, right? And
You
I
made
was like, this is
content. You're a content creator now.
it's out there. They see me,
Right.
and then it falls off the sill as I'm brushing my teeth to go to bed early. Because this night I'm going to go to bed like a human, and it
Right.
falls like just perfectly into the sink and misses the casing that protects it and shatters the screen.
Oh, yeah. That sucks.
It was like I was like, what did I do wrong? I was going to bed early. I was brushing my teeth.
You
It
got to
was
be
punishment.
careful with the phone in the bathroom. Mrs. Cheapy dropped her phone in the toilet at least once. I think it was actually maybe twice.
Does she know you're going to tell that story?
She doesn't care. I mean, look, she's a busy lady. You can't, it hasn't been recently. It was a long time ago, actually. Not since we moved back to America. This was in
Of
Japan.
course.
These
Yeah.
toilet incidents were in Japan. I think she put I think actually, I'm not sure. It could be here, but she had the phone in her back pocket, and you go to the toilet, and you can see how it could slide into the bowl.
Of course. And evidently, it's better if you don't bring these things with you into the commode. And that's what I'm learning slowly, being on my home submarine for the last year.
So you're getting an iPhone now?
No, I might stick with the Samsung. I haven't decided. I've been really working at breaking my phone addiction, funny enough. So this was like the crescendo for me where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
just so maybe I'm gonna get like one of those clamshells like Ronnie. I'm gonna try to find a
I like that.
BlackBerry.
I too feel like I'm on the phone too much, so I don't want to get a good phone. I want just enough phone. But I have to get an iPhone because I'm in that whole world. And my current one, the current one, like the battery is expanding,
right?
And like the screen is coming off I had to turn off Face ID because it's completely broken. So every time I try to unlock the phone, I have to go through the thing scanning my face and not working 3 times before to pop up the password thing. Anyway, so I need a new phone. But I don't care enough to actually do anything. So I just turned off.
It's amazing how like dangerous those things are, though. I mean, just think about it. It's like a liquid battery that's expanding and generating heat.
Right,
and,
I should do something about that. I should maybe.
But I should be using a screen. Like I still got the thing is I have not turned it off because I'm like I need to get my apps. I got to get my footage, my art. I'm like so it's so interwoven. That's what I mean now when I say addiction. I mean that it feels like it's crucial when I can do all of these things independent of it, but somehow they're all there and it's frozen everything.
Right.
Right. So what are you gonna do? Like I said, I'm gonna be like Ron. I'm gonna get a BlackBerry.
Throw half of it right in the garbage. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing really going on with me because we can't go anywhere or do anything. But it's.
Did you have to skip your pong because the?
I had to skip my weekly ping pong because of the weather. It's very depressing.
Is it sort of like what is it like? Is it like red rum when you don't get to play ping pong? Are you a very upset boy, or do you meditate? Do you cook and clean?
I used to like maybe get a little. I mean, you can't get upset. Like, who am I getting upset at? Like the weather. Like you can't take that out on anybody. It's not like my wife said you can't go to ping pong today because you have to. I don't know.
Shovel
the roof. Shovel snow. I'll do that anyway. That's what I got to do right after this. Actually, after I take Ty to his mathing, I got to shovel snow. Anyway, I think we should get right into the Howard stuff because I have a feeling that he's going to be on vacation next week. and we'll be able to like just talk about whatever the hell we want next week. And there was actually a lot of interesting stuff this week. I did manage to listen to a very good chunk of the 12 hours of show, I guess, that he puts out.
Okay.
But I think we should do well, first some show feedback. This is from Matt. He says, congrats on your new podcast. Howard Stern episode talk was blemished with the occasional ping pong bit, but with two funny hosts, including one of CADcast fame. This is a great show, very relaxed feel to it. Thank you, Matt.
Very cool. Thank you, man.
Tell your friends. I also, before we start, I want to give a shout out to Mark's Friggin. Do you remember Mark's Friggin?
Shout out to Mark.
So he's still writing huge daily show episode compilations, like really involved. And he does it for free, but he has a Patreon. And if you do the Patreon, you get them in real time, like as soon as he puts them up. Otherwise, you have to wait a week. But
he's like the Howard Stern Wikipedia. I mean, he's like, what, 25 years doing or something? It feels like crazy. Not 25. It's got to be more than 12.
It's 15. It's at least 15.
Yeah, and it's like the Wikipedia of Howard Stern. I mean, it's a resource that is invaluable to the super fandom.
Right. So somebody suggested that we use that resource to help outline the show, and plan the show, and I agree. That was a good
suggestion.
Yeah, great suggestion. And I signed up for his Patreon, and if you just Google Mark's Friggin, what's marksfriggin.com. Let's get into rando news.
Okay.
There's one huge story this week. Did you actually click through and read this article? I know you've been very busy. Because I'm very well familiar, and I can give you this.
You go. Yeah, I can't see my outline.
Oh, you can't see your outline? What's going on over there?
Just trying to put out so many fires that I lit my outline on fire.
Okay. Well, speaking of things being lit on fire, Bigfoot.
Yes.
Bigfoot lit his apartment building on fire, and then he admitted to it, basically, or revealed it during an interview with Wolfie.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Wolfie was doing some segment where he was interviewing Bigfoot, and Bigfoot basically mentioned that he burned his apartment complex down, or started a fire and lied about it to police.
Right.
Didn't burn it down, but started a fire and lied about it. The police said it was some sort of accident.
He said, and what he said was that what was suspicious about it was that he was telling them that they keep having sex in the hallway.
He looks like an alien.
And it was also Bigfoot. There's that. How fucking like a wild werewolf it is.
Sorry. Fuck. Yeah, go on. What did he say that was suspicious?
He said to his neighbors that this is what they get for always having sex, I think, in the hallway. So now that they wouldn't be able to have sex in the hallway because he burnt down the house, and that he refused to leave. So here's my thing. Over the years, as much as I've loved his in studio appearances, he's a lot of fun. Right. I enjoy, Artie laughing at Bigfoot. Like, I could just listen to Artie, his belly laughs at Bigfoot, saying anything, and it would kill me. That's all I needed. But at the same time, as time progressed, it was just, you always wondered how the authorities didn't do anything to intervene with someone who obviously needs help. Right. So, like, if you're Wolfie, and listen, we're fans, we're super fans of the show. It's not like I said, I'm not going to an Insane Clown Posse juggalo party.
Right.
But if somehow a juggalo tells me about one of the myriad of things that are alleged to have happened there, where do you fall? Do you not try to help Bigfoot? What if Bigfoot falls asleep next time after he lights the fire and dies in the flames?
Wolfie contacted the police.
He had to, though.
Right. I feel
like it.
Yeah. What do you get? Somebody tells you they committed a crime, and you've recorded it. And
exactly.
It sounds like
you're
going to
become
bad.
a conspirator?
Wolfie didn't sign up for that. Wolfie signed up to interview like weirdos. He didn't sign up to like be covering up crimes. Like that's some other job. Like I'm sure I'm sure surely he wasn't doing that either.
Right, exactly. But I saw some Twitter feed, some negative feedback from some long-term callers saying that, Wolfie shouldn't have turned on the whack pack and Who are they going to turn on next? And obviously, it's just Jeff the drunk being drunk, right? He's a drunk. He's Jeff. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he's Jeff the drunk.
Oh, Jeff was complaining.
He was, Wolfie this. But what are you going to do, man? I mean, if you either you see the humanity in Bigfoot and you at some point say, I want this person to be taken care of. And they've tried over the years to get him help, I think. And sometimes he would just like disappear off the radar. So I think sometimes you have to do what you have to do, and you can't turn blind eye to someone who might be a danger to themselves and their neighbors, allegedly.
Right. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it's not just him getting arrested and not getting any type of mental help, because him getting arrested and put in jail is not, I mean, it's helping maybe apartment buildings not get burned down, but it's not helping Bigfoot. And it would be nice if Bigfoot could get some help, since he's certainly helped all of us with, with a lot of laughter.
A lot of laughs. So
I did actually just watch the clip, the first Bigfoot's first appearance on the show. I watched that on YouTube, and it's already just laughing through the whole thing immediately. As soon as he starts talking, he's like, the contest is over. It was the next Whack Packer contest. Contest is over. And he just loved it. It was great.
And he had all those stories from Vermont. He was always at war with the state of Vermont.
Right.
He got a new Cadillac. All the girls want his money. They want his car.
Right.
Remember the Cadillac song?
Yes. Or he couldn't sing anything. I mean, I feel bad. I mean, it's the problem with the Howard Stern show is a lot of it is based on making fun of people who have mental disorders. And as we grow up, we tend to think maybe it's not that much fun. It's not funny for them. It's not fun or funny.
But Bigfoot had a good time. Bigfoot wasn't always at this level of problems. He stopped taking his meds. Remember the last time Wolfie was trying to get in touch with him for a while and wouldn't be able to get him. And then there was a period of time where Wolfie was able to get him, but couldn't communicate with him because the TV, Bigfoot has the TV as loud as possible to drown out all of the voices, from the walls, the voices from the walls. So he would pick up the phone, exactly, if there were walls. And Bigfoot wouldn't be able to hear Wolfie because of the TVs, and Wolfie wouldn't be able to tell him to turn down the TVs. So there's a little bit of history of them trying to provide some type of intervention by distance during a pandemic. It's near impossible. But, at this point, what are you going to do? Yeah. But I just wanted to throw that in because Bigfoot back in the day got himself to the studio by himself. He was a listener and he came in for the contest. I'm sure he had a friend he came in with.
Sure.
But he wasn't the guy that you see in the news article today. That wasn't him.
Sort of like High Pitch Eric.
A couple of times over the year.
High Pitch Eric started off relatively normal when he was first appeared on the show. And he even his weight was normal. No, his brain
really?
His voice is weird, but he seemed like his IQ was like at least 15 points higher.
His criminal mind was a little bit strong.
I don't know what's going on with the whole high pitch thing. If maybe like his sicknesses made him dumber. Like, I don't know if that works that way, but
he does seem a little bit more kind of slow adultish.
When you look at his first appearance, I think there's a legitimate clip on YouTube on Howard's channel. It looks like a different guy physically and mentally.
Matter of fact, I don't know if there's anybody watching us except for our mothers, but ask them about their chat in the chat if they want to let us know if there's another Whack Packer where they've seen this kind of from the beginning, a complete different type of person now that they were.
Well, not completely different. He's gone. He sort of dropped off the cliff. Dr. Ivan Graphics in the chat says that hopefully he'll end up in a health facility or a group home situation, and that his mother died, and that he's had no direction since. So it's a case of a person with mental illness having nobody to even point them in the right direction, like nothing.
Right, or make sure they're taking their medication or not taking drugs.
Just like the Elisa Lam story.
Tell me that one.
That's the Netflix documentary, Cecil Hotel. You've watched that?
No. Did you tell me about this already?
No,
I don't remember.
Nah, we just watched it. I wouldn't recommend it. It's very long. It's like 4 hours, and it's really like an hour and a half worth of a story, basically. Anyway, is that it for the rando news? What else we got here? Oh, I have something. I've been doing a little sleuthing.
You have now.
And maybe
listen, gumshoes. We're about to go to the part of the show where we get detective on you. Now, Cheapy.
So I was looking at Brent's Twitch channel. I'm a big
I said that for this.
What's that?
He gave you the gold to talk about Brent. That was killer shit.
This is gonna be this is gonna be killer shit. This is a big investigation. We need Steve Langford on this.
Okay.
So I was looking at Brent's Twitch channel just to see what was going on there, and I noticed. I think they gifted me. I have a check mark next to my name, like as a partner or verify. I don't even know what the check mark means, but I noticed that a lot of people don't have the check mark.
Okay.
So when I go into channels sometimes, I will get subscriptions gifted to me. Okay. But I don't know if they use some program that like they'll figure it out automatically. It happens with channels that I'm only even in briefly. Like I'll come back the next day and I'll find gift subs. Anyway, I noticed in Brent's channel, it happened to me there. And then I noticed in his channel, he had an incredible amount of emotes in his channel. Okay. Now, like 22 emotes. Okay. Now, to get emotes, you need to reach a certain level of paid subscribers. And 21 or 22 is a lot. That is like upper echelon Twitch royalty. Okay.
I agree. It is quite intriguing.
I looked it up. Okay. I looked up the facts. You need 700 $5 subscriptions. Okay.
$705 subscription. That's a what? 3,500 or something?
That is correct.
Okay.
Whereabouts. There's ways to, there's like more expensive subscriptions that get you more points, but more or less, you need to have $3,500 worth of subscriptions come in at the same time, like within a month. Okay. Because they run out after a month. And the thing is not cumulative. It'll drop when you lose subscribers. They stop paying. The number goes down, and you got to work it right back up again. So what this means?
You can explain this stuff to me.
So what this means is that at one point, somehow, either Brent himself bought a lot of gift subs for people to get that number up there. Because I admit to doing that on this channel, but not. I have 9 emotes on my channel. Which I think
they found out that you bought the emotes that come in for you.
I think the cops are coming for you.
They're coming for you, man. You're the one admitting the crimes.
That's not a crime. That's totally allowed. Like Brent's allowed to buy $3,500 in gift subs on his own channel. It seems like not a great investment. But
I like it when he gives the gift subs to you.
Either that or he just had like a super lot of interest in his channel when it first started. Because now when he streams, he gets about 150 people streaming, watching it. And that's not indicative of having 700 subs. So something weird happened there. I'm not sure what. But that's my investigation at this point.
We need to sick the what was it? Carmen Sandiego gumshoes. We need to sick you out there and find out, did Brent?
We need
what's
Lisa
the conspiracy?
G.
Did he pay? Did he not pay? I think Brent had enough people who liked him. Do you think that would have supported him after or no? Because I know Brent is controversial. I don't really get why. I mean,
he could have gotten.
I just kind of ignored half of it. Sometimes,
he could have gotten 700 people to sign up like right away. That seems,
so.
And then he some combination of that and his own paid. But it's a lot. That's a pretty high level to get.
Well, good for him. And he did something with Shuli, didn't they? I saw it like it was last night or something. I didn't check it out.
Miserable Men.
They came. No, recently.
Yeah.
They did. They're starting up Miserable Men
or
again.
They brought it back for at least one episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you check it out?
I didn't check it out. I didn't check it out, but I will check it out. Shout out to Shuli. He's got a Patreon and a podcast that you can check out on there. I subscribe to that too. I'm paying $10 a month in Howard Stern related content that's not going to Sirius.
And you say that I'm the bigger fan.
Well, you probably just didn't know about it. Now you're going to be laying out.
I don't know how to work it. You don't tell me about this stuff because you don't want me to come to you to ask you how to do it.
Patreon's pretty easy, or Patreon. I don't know how you're supposed to say it, but it's pretty easy to figure out. Anyway,
so set up one for me. We'll get it going.
Right. You can do it. You can set up your own.
But
you don't need anything. You got everything you need over there. You got the microphone. You got the Black Panther T-shirt.
Got the. Can you see this?
Frame picture of.
I already saw the Iron Throne.
You sitting in the Game of Thrones throne. That is really nerdy. Did you do that at Macy's?
Dude, I did this true story. I did this the day of right before I had a big interview for a job with like the big head honcho.
Okay.
I went to the HBO museum store. They went around the world during the show. They had like 2 sets of all of their props, and they sent one of them around the world to 7 different sites, probably as promotion or something.
Yeah.
And when they came to New York, the line was around the block. And there's a YouTube video of somebody walking to show the line for people to sit on the Iron Throne. And the YouTube video is like 5 minutes long of just walking, filming this around the block. So I went on the last day, and there was no line.
Nice.
And it went in, like had my suit on to go for my interview, sat down, I ruled, and then I went and then I conquered, and then it was great. Oh, sorry. What were we talking about? I just wanted to show you the picture.
I commented on your shirt, on that you had a shirt, and then you're like, "Oh, I have other things that I own that are in my vicinity." Uh-oh.
I can reach other things.
Right.
What else? What else?
All right, let's talk about this week's show.
It's almost like there's no structure to this show.
There is a structure. Look at this outline. I made this whole outline here. All right, let's talk.
No, it is good. Actually, I was able to pull it up.
Let's talk about this week's show. I thought what we should do actually is look for the themes of the week's shows and talk about them first before we actually go into the week's shows. So here's I don't know if you've prepared anything or not, because I can't see your secret notes.
It was the week from hell. So.
Okay, so I have plenty. So here's what I find are the main themes of this week's shows. Number 1, King of All Blacks is disgusting and possibly criminally disgusting.
It's probably, as they would call it in he likes to moisten it again. What is wrong with that man?
He's so gross that he doesn't even realize what he's saying is making everybody nauseous. That's how gross he is. We'll get into that. We'll get into that later when we get to that.
You have to bring that up
because because it's in my brain now. It's stuck in there. Number 2, Ronnie is as paranoid as he's ever been.
Oh yeah, unleashed.
And I know why he is paranoid. I know what he's paranoid about. Ronnie is like a psychoanalyst's training dummy. Like anybody can psychoanalyze him. All you had to do is just listen to the Howard Stern show for a few years and learn about psychoanalysis from Howard, and you can pretty much go to town on Ronnie. Number 3, Howard's parents really fucked him up to the point where he cannot stop doing.
This is a great segment. I love it.
He cannot stop doing his parents' voices, and I think it's just because they're stuck in his head.
Aren't yours?
No.
You don't hear your parents when you're like gonna do something, you're at the decision point. No. You don't hear like someone admonishing you or the phrase that they used before, maybe not their voice.
No. I've blocked that out somehow. Successfully, I've blocked that out. I must be very healthy.
Or you're a psychopath. Right. I'm not sure. Yeah.
And we'll talk about that a little later. And the fourth thing final thing I've taken away from this week's show.
Okay. Drum roll, please.
Is that Howard's voice seems to be deeper than ever. And I don't know, going back and listening to Howard, the older episodes, even from a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, or 7 years ago, his voice didn't seem that deep. It seems like he's actively talking like this all the time. And I feel like I have a deep voice, but it does require a certain concentration. And it's also, it requires, it's a musculature that in your throat. Yes. And it is. So either Howard has been, is so relaxed now, because if you remember, he's blamed his higher pitched voice back in the day is that he was uptight. And so maybe now Howard is so relaxed.
That's how the body works. Sometimes when I feel like I'm too excited, I slow my heartbeat.
You can do that?
Yeah. I just say, hold on. Okay. Or sometimes I say to myself, you're too hot. I cool myself down. Do you really think he was uptight more? And that's why his voice is he 12? He's more uptight and he's a broadcaster and his voice was higher?
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
I think he chose to speak in a different voice.
Well, he's more focused. But right. No. Well, that's sort of the same thing. But
except one is bullshitty.
Well, choosing to do that, it's easier said than done. I mean, like I said, I have a deep voice, and I could probably try to talk like this for an hour and a half, but pretty hard, and it does require some sort of skill and also concentration, but it gets tiring as well.
Especially a high pitch does it.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Hey, what's wrong? What's the problem? I got a candy for you.
So I don't know. It's to the point now, and I know that he uses compression and stuff like that.
All of these jokes, like there's nobody laughing at anything we've said for the last 10 minutes, but I can't stop laughing.
That's good. You're like Robin. She's just the one. You're actually laughing harder than Robin. I like Robin. That wasn't an insult. Although I do find that Robin seems to be laughing a lot more since the pandemic. Now that she's home, I mean, the dynamic has to be changed now a lot because they're not together. And I feel like she's really laughing a lot at everything. It's more noticeable now.
Yeah, but there's less natural interruption. Nobody's coming in. Hey, Howard. There's no commercial. Well, I don't know what their breaks are like.
Right.
But they don't seem like they do it that often. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe.
Well, there's plenty of commercials. If you don't listen, you listen on the replay. You listen on the replay, so you don't.
No, I listened. If it hits a commercial, I just go to 101.
I see.
Or Stern, like one of the shows on the app. Anyway, I do agree with you on the deep voice. I feel like he's been like eating the ends of his words at the more and more lately. And I can't think of a good example. It's happened a lot of times when he's got like a wacko caller just going on, and then he'll just eat off half of the word. I don't know where that's coming from,
but he also does the same thing where, like the Super Bowl announcer, where he'll make the word sound longer, a little bit longer, because I think he likes hearing his own deep voice. He still has his timba.
Who doesn't like playing when you're in the sound booth and you got everything hooked up and you hear yourself? You're like, ooh.
He doesn't have many years left of his timber. He has to really.
Well, I don't know. I'm holding out until they come up with a reliable solution for balding men, and they might find something for men with timber loss.
They have it already. It's called compression and all other types of other plugins that you can use, software and hardware based. We're using some right now. You don't even know it, what I've got you plugged into.
Hey now.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the week's shows. We've made it finally.
Yes.
So Monday, Howard kicks off the week by talking about how people hate him now because he's a liberal.
Oh, he's such a liberal. He's
always
been conservative. He doesn't strike me as a liberal.
He's pro-gun,
right?
And he's voted for Republicans in the past. I mean, he's a 67-year-old man. He's voted for a lot of people in the past,
right?
But he said he would never vote Republican again.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay. I think I probably missed him say that part.
He said that a couple times, I feel like, over the last few months. And that also that people should stop caring about his opinion on things.
Right.
And then he went on to talk about how this woman, Fran Lebowitz, gives her opinion a lot on things, and she never understands why people get upset because it's just an opinion. It doesn't make it so. Like, everybody has an opinion. You're just watching her give her opinion, and I guess that gets people angry, just like Howard.
Right.
Like, what do you care what his opinion is? It's no more valuable than your opinion.
Right.
He has no influence over anything.
Right.
Just what he's filling up a radio show with his opinion. So he doesn't understand why people get so upset. But I guess when you're a fan of somebody and you come to discover that their ideology is different than yours, or it's changed, then you maybe don't handle that also gracefully.
It's really disappointing. Like, I mean, this is old news, but I tried to ignore Gina Carano, just crazy statements in the past.
Okay.
Anyway, because I liked the way they worked her into the story. I know some people felt it was ultra crowbar, but I was fine with it. You have to have an excuse to have some type of equity sometimes in storylines. Like, I mean, look at me. I love Othello in all of Shakespeare's world of plays, but it sucks to have only one type of portrayal.
Sure.
albeit a classic. So I like the idea of other people getting to be part of the epic story and part of the heroes that saved the day.
Yeah.
And when she would say stupid shit, I would always be like, man, no, but she's good at the character,
Right.
And
You
grew up
need a
angry.
big beefy lady to carry the big guns, and it's fun.
I mean, but
it's fun.
I mean, she's fun, and I would even think of her as beefy. She looked athletic to me. She didn't look like
No,
out of
beefy,
place.
like,
Like, yeah, like she could hold her own.
like she'd kick my ass in 2 seconds.
If she decides to rewind into the MMA days,
Right.
And then when it's like, it's just irritating. I guess the idea is when you learn too much about the people that you fantasize about, albeit, these are just watching people play in film or whatever, or laughing with Howard as if you're bullshitting with him at the bar. Although he would not probably want to sit with you at the bar. Right. So you're fantasizing a little bit.
Sure.
When you're taken outside of that fantasy by something that triggers you, it makes it really hard to get back into it with the same kind of feel and ease, because that reminder is always there that this person's wacko. Like Tom Cruise, when he jumped on the couch, it took me years to like be able to watch a film and not think about that guy must be like really weird. You know what I mean? And he's got a world around him that will provide for that to go only in one direction.
Right. He's his big money maker. Nobody's telling him to slow down on the weirdness. It's just like, hey, as long as the money keeps coming in and you're putting up the money for the movies and stuff, and it's like easy money for everybody.
But I was taken out of it. I used to love him until that happened. I was like, he's just weird. And then you learn about the relationship drama and all of the Scientology stuff, and it becomes challenging to the mystery that you want. You want to have,
but we know Howard's
for a bit
fucked
and go
up.
Back,
we all know Howard's fucked up. So why do we act surprised when we hear that?
Why do those people?
Yeah, well,
because those people are not looking to have any kind of meaningful dialogue.
Right, they're going to be outraged, and
they got a lot of misdirected anger.
Yeah,
they don't understand that the people that are yelling at them and getting them to be angry are the ones that are keeping them down, and they like to blame it on Howard because he's doing a comedy show. He's not going to, and whereas I might not try to make the worst joke possible because I'm worried about repercussions in my actual life, Howard doesn't think about that. He just goes for the funniest he can get, and sometimes it comes across wrong. That's my guess.
I wish a hater would call in with like a good call.
Yes.
Just like
what happened to the debate in this country.
but not a disingenuous call. Like, I have something to say. Like, Howard, how do you feel about having like the weirdest fandom in the world, really, where you have people who genuinely enjoy your show and listen and pay for it and listen, and then you have people who hate listening and then hate posting on the internet all day long about how much they hate you.
Right.
Like, where else is that happening?
Or it could also be, I'm thinking about like the things that I got pissed at back in the day. I got pissed. X-Men. All those X-Men films. Like, I was the biggest X-Men kid. I think I learned how to drawing Uncanny X-Men.
You got triggered by bad X-Men films? Because
it's such easy.
Which one? I gotta know which one.
I mean, most of them were very vexing, except for the last one with Wolverine. That was fantastic. It made up for a lot of what they did. The timeline cleansing they did with, I think it was one of the later ones,
right?
The Sentinel ones. I was like, at least that leaves me feeling a little bit better about the earlier films. But like the most recent one, Dark Phoenix. If you watch that movie on mute, it could get like maybe another bump, like from a C to like a C plus, maybe.
I didn't watch it.
If you play the old X-Men cartoon theme song over the fight scene at the end,
it's good.
You could bump it to maybe B minus because they're like working like the cartoon.
Sounds like you need to make a fan edit on YouTube.
Maybe
I'd watch that. I'm not watching the real movie, but I'll watch your
it's just the
5-minute version.
Story, dude. There's no reason to like the people who care about them. And I'm ranting off on a different topic. But
you are.
You get mad because it was so good to you, and then you feel betrayed. And you feel like,
but I have all this expectation. What did you do? How did you respond to that? With your anger?
I decided that I'm not going to watch them. I've watched most of the cinematic universe, Marvel, DC, whatever, more than 5 times each.
Right, but you didn't go and post about. Did you post a lot about how much you were mad? I don't want to
kill people. I'm not pissed that way, but I am pissed every time someone brings it up. I do get triggered. Like, what makes me off? They had such a great chance. They ruined it. I guess, I don't know. Maybe I have too many responsibilities. I don't have time to post. I don't know how to. I'd have to ask you to where I would post it.
Just, I don't know. Make a YouTube channel of your movie edits.
What's a YouTube channel?
Stop it. All right. Who are you, Howard? Howard. That's like a few times when I've like Howard feels old to me. Is like when he talks about social media stuff. Like he has only like the most basic understanding of how any like Twitter, Instagram, any of these things function. It is a little weird to me.
Or paternal leave.
I think he understands how paternal leave works. That's not his personality, and he also likes to rip on people. So that's just him being Howard. Let's see. Howard, they talked about Valentine's Day because this was like the coming back from the day after Valentine's Day, actually. And they talked about how Baba Booey took his wife under to the Mario Cuomo Bridge, and they made out. I don't know if they made out, and they didn't.
No, they didn't. He said, "Hey, Mary,
no, they didn't." He didn't ask about that. I don't think
he did. He said,
"Oh, he did."
So he asked her, and she said, "No."
Oh, really? He asked her like, "Hey, do you want to make out?" Like just like that.
I mean, he was making it funny, I'm sure.
Right.
Imagine driving all the way out there and no make-out time.
I mean, look, you got to do something now. I mean, they're sitting at home.
No, I would have done that. I'm just disappointed with the no make-out.
Well, maybe they like had like a little peck on the cheek or something, like just a little. Howard made fun of them, of course, and I sort of didn't hear what Howard and Beth's Valentine's Day was like. I missed that part.
Yeah, I probably zoned out because it's like I don't know. I didn't want to hear about their Valentine's days. Was there anybody do anything interesting? Because I don't think I got Gary's.
Yeah, Howard's not doing anything. Right. He's not leaving the house.
Did you see all the promotion for Valentine's Day? This would have been in my rando news if the week wasn't so difficult. There's and if you Google it online, you'll probably find it. But like, there was some type of concerted effort by different local news broadcast teams to promote meat bouquets as Valentine's Day gifts.
I saw that somewhere.
Like sausage. And the thing is, they always pick like jerky or something that doesn't photo well and just looks like shit, looks like wrapped up shit.
Look, we saw it on John Oliver, I believe, is where we saw it. And Mrs. Cheapy was with me, and she said, that looks disgusting. I think she was happy with the pajamas I got her. That were not made of meat. There was no meat involved in those pajamas.
I'm all for supporting the industry because that's obviously what they're trying to do in my mind. Because remember, they had that same type of orchestrated information by a network of local news partners regarding, obviously the evil old Trump days. So we're not going to go back into it. But I thought it was the most silly thing to coordinate and promote these. Because each shot looks like a roll of shit.
Yeah.
It just looks greasy. The ugliest picture of like meatballs.
Greasy shit. Yeah, Mrs. TV was like, no, hell no, no meat on Valentine's Day. This is not, you can't stop trying to make meat work for Valentine's Day. Only Robin can make meat work on Valentine's Day.
Now.
That's all. Howard talked about the Britney Spears documentary, which I've seen. I'd actually seen it like a couple weeks ago. It's called Framing Britney. Yeah, it's on Hulu and FX, and it's really good. Recommend it completely. And I watched another documentary, which I would also recommend, and I found a Stern Show tie-in here. Okay. This is the Tiger Woods documentary that's on HBO. It's just called Tiger. It's a two-parter. It's like an hour and a half each or so, and like the first half is the rise of Tiger, and the second half is like the fall and the rebirth.
So the first one is like Tiger Woods, y'all, Tiger Woods, y'all, and then the second half is like this is Sal Governale.
Well, okay. So so maybe you knew this. I did not know this, but Tiger's dad was a philanderer. Did you know that? Like he was but
I didn't know.
What's Sal's dad's name
the
again?
Epic nature of the behavior. He's obviously trying to compete with his dad, in my mind.
What's Sal's dad's name?
Oh, geez, I don't remember. Oh, now you got me. I don't remember. Tony.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, of course, as a young child, Sal observed Tony, his father,
right,
straight up having affairs with other women, and with him in like the backseat of the car, like literally driving to a woman's house, picking her up,
right,
woman getting in the car, making out with a woman with the kid in the backseat, and then he would turn around And he would say, "Don't tell your mother."
It's like, for those who've seen The Sopranos out there, there's literally a scene in The Sopranos like that.
Okay, so Tiger, same exact situation. Everyone knows. You knew that his dad was obsessive about golf, right? To the he bred Tiger to be a golfer. Like when he was 2 months old.
Like what, 4 years old?
No, 2 months old.
Yeah,
something ridiculous. Like it was ridiculous.
Right. Ty, if you need help, just text me, man. I'll get someone over there.
I don't make him do
You're
anything.
Not alone. Put the ping pong paddle down.
I make him play once in a blue moon. So while they're on the golf course, Tiger is like putting or practicing golf. The dad is in the van with some woman that he picked up, banging her. And they interviewed a friend of the family who was like helping his dad train Tiger, and he felt like really, really guilty about it.
Wow.
Because he was saying like it was wrong for Tiger to have to witness that. And we all know what happened with Tiger later, with how he just followed right in his dad's footsteps, didn't wait too long at all.
Right.
So
he was taught that this is what you do. I mean, yeah, he should also have his own ability to decide, hey, I shouldn't treat women like they're objects or, interchangeable.
But that's what he grew up with, and that's what he saw. And Sal was right there with him. And we know that Sal is fucked up, but he doesn't appear to be fucked up in that way. He seems to be taking all of that and just be like jerking off to everything.
What are you talking about? There's a lot of people who are into pee porn. I mean, if pee porn wasn't a thing, you wouldn't be able to find it, would you?
We know it's a thing, but it's a little weird, and that's just the tip of the iceberg with Sal.
It's hiding in the closet while your aunt is going to the bathroom. So
pooping.
That's weird. Pooping.
It's weird. It's very weird. So anyway, I'd recommend that documentary. It made me think of Sal.
We need a documentary on Sal.
That might be just as disturbing as this one. Then after that, they started talking about Baba Booey started talking about his Tesla.
Ooh,
and
Baba
I like
Booey.
I like to hear about
Baba
car
Booey,
talk.
That's Baba Booey.
I like when they talk about
Booey.
They never talk about cars on the show because Howard does not give two shits about cars.
I miss my Ronnie's car show.
It was the most boringest show ever. But Howard never gave two shits about cars. With all that money, he never I think he bought a Corvette once and just decided it was pointless. Anyway, so
he's
Booey,
like no short-term memory or something. He says he gets lost or something.
Who, Howard?
Yeah, we get lost driving from A to B.
Yeah. But I'm sure he probably doesn't drive at all. So Booey is talking about his fast Tesla and made it, and how much he really enjoys it. And Howard was sort of getting into it. He sounds interesting. And then they asked Ronnie what he thinks about Teslas. And I have pretty much the same opinion as Ronnie on something for the most part. Ronnie says he doesn't like Teslas. It sounds like mostly because they don't make any noise and he likes the sound of the engine. And to me, I feel like that's sort of a bonus of owning a fast car is that it makes a good sound usually. Right. And Ronnie was just he said, that's not my deal. Tesla is not Ronnie's deal. And then the follow-up question, which was great, because I love when somebody asks the question that I'm thinking and it just comes out of someone's mouth. And Baba Booey's like, hey, Ronnie, what if Tesla had an add-on where you could just have fake sound coming out the back and, it would sound realistic. And for me, I would be like, yeah, that sounds good. I would do that. Sign me up and you can select whatever sound it is.
Make it sound like a KITT.
Make it sound like KITT, make it sound like a Ferrari, make it sound like a fucking Gremlin, whatever. But Ronnie was like, no. I've thought about this too much, actually. But Ronnie is like, no, I'm not interested. Still not interested. He would never be interested in a Tesla or an electric car.
Ronnie can't change his mind. Once he says something out loud, he doesn't want to be the guy who went back. He still thinks of that as the definition of strong. Because anybody who actually thought about what was said, if we can make it the way you want it, would you want it then?
Right.
No. What, Ronnie? Why?
Here's my main complaint. Well, what if we could fix that complaint? Nope.
I'm old-fashioned, all right? I'm old-fashioned. What's your problem?
And then Ronnie was talking about his Valentine's Day, and he talked about how he buys his wife 2 cards, one like normal romantic card, and then one like classless card. And I do the same thing. So,
you do.
And in fact, he mentioned the card that he bought this year. It was like something about spooning and I want to fork you or something, which I saw and I was like, oh, this is too lame for me. But Ronnie picked that one up and he was like, this is a great card, man. Great card. Yeah, I didn't do I get the card that says like your breastises are the bestises. Like that's a card that I purchased.
You pay money?
I paid money for that. Or like, and there was someone.
I should start making cards. Let's turn that spoon into a spork.
Right. Well, yeah, maybe Ronnie will buy that one next year. Anyway, I had a lot in common with Ronnie this week. That's the point.
Doesn't that scare you?
A little bit, but then.
Did I tell you once I ran into Ronnie?
Oh.
At a bar.
Yeah.
And you could tell it was him from behind. I was with a buddy, and we could tell it was him from behind because he had like the cameras on him. And there were some chicks with him, and there was like a spotlight with the camera, like a whatever light. So I knew, and so we were like, "Hey, Ronnie!" And he turns around, and he's like, "What?"
I'm sure he was drunk off his ass. I'm sure.
Maybe, I don't know, but it's like shit. I'm not trying to get into an altercation. Just wanted to say,
he's paranoid. You can't yell out somebody's name when they're incredibly paranoid. It's not a good idea. And they're drunk.
I don't know if he was drunk, to be in his defense.
He was in a bar.
But it was enough for me to decide to pass on the photograph. And I said, all right, well, at least I saw him,
Right. It's worth it. I remember when I met Ronnie, because, when we were on the show.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And Ronnie's supposed to come in and he's supposed to he's the security guy. So he's supposed to frisk you and, if you, look through your stuff. So
right.
me and Wombat were in the green room. Ronnie comes in, he looks at us, and he goes, "Yeah, these guys are okay," and just walks out of the room. I had a knapsack with me. Nothing. Didn't do anything. Just literally said that and walked away.
Jason could have worked perfectly.
Could have done anything.
You could have been the connection of a lifetime. You could have been friends with. You could have been at those card games with Ralph.
No, that's good that I'm not there. That would really upset me. I'm sorry. Like if I find if you're my friend and we're playing a poker game and you start cheating in the game, you're not my friend anymore.
I thought you did. Oh, all right, I won't do it. I mean,
that's not really a controversial stance on friendship. I feel.
Yeah, I don't think so. But let's keep it moving.
The next part of the show, which is one of the most substance part of this week, is the King of All Blacks admitting that he likes dirty panties. Basically, he's really into dirty panties. So disgusting. He likes licking the dirty panties to reactivate the discharge. This is very gross.
Yeah, we probably should give a gross warning.
Gross warning. Too late for the gross warning.
Too late.
And he even says,
it's great radio though, by the way. I was dying.
It's great unless you're eating. A lot of these things are great unless you're having breakfast or lunch. He started talking about not only that he does this, but he basically has like an alter ego called Hamper Man that he's, I guess, made up for himself.
It was like, you ever see True Detective? It was like when the perp just breaks, like he doesn't realize that you're not in the perversion with him, and he thinks that you guys are like getting along, and like he finally met someone. And he's like, "Yeah, I used to be Hamper Man, yo. I was Hamper Man," and we're like, "What?"
And you think, what does that even mean? Like, do you think he told people about this, and they're like, "Oh, you're Hamper. We should call you Hamper Man," or do you think this is all just in his mind? Like, hey, like this is my I'm a superhero. I'm like a stupid hero.
I think like Eyes Wide Shut, the weird behavior that we've seen of King of All Blacks is just the surface.
Oh.
And that the Hamper Man is the true interior of the man. And that there's a lot going on there. I think that he has the whole kind of world surrounding it where he even gave himself a name. I gave myself a name. Okay.
Right. But it's not.
Right? Well, it was a nickname, but I took it on.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But it wasn't about licking panties.
Same.
I do spend a lot of time thinking about my character and drawing him.
Sure.
And I'd imagine anybody puts enough thought into having a name that they keep with them for more than 20, 30 years. There's got to be a whole world of gross in there, man. He making it. Did you tell? Ugh, I don't even know what
it's gross.
He also shared it was last week. He was building on last week's revelation that he likes it when his wife farts in his face.
Right.
He likes it that she doesn't like to do it.
There's something wrong with that.
Hamper Man has a lot more that he hasn't shared. And
yes.
I'm all for changing his name from King to Hamper Man. I don't know if we can start.
Let's move on. Towards
Hamper Man.
Oh, it's too gross.
Does everything.
Someone could make a little animation about that. It wouldn't be too bad. Later in the show, there was a Wendy the Slow Adult update. Yes. Where we all know they've done a bunch of calls that I really actually like the series of calls where they have Joe Biden calling Wendy and they try to get Wendy to vote for Joe Biden and because she's a big Trump supporter. And I love those calls because he's good. Like who's doing is that Wilding that's doing Biden? It's a really good impression.
Question.
Or Norwicki maybe. Norwicki.
I don't know.
But they're really good. I feel like they're really good, and he always addresses one of Wendy's issues and they always feel like she might get convinced to be on Team Biden, and then by the end of the call, it's always "fuck you," and she hangs up on him. So this
indoctrination works on every kind of mind, as you can see.
Yeah, which is much easier with Wendy, I'm sure.
Yeah, right, imagine.
So they had a call. So apparently Wendy loves Jason. I wasn't aware that she was like madly in love with Jason. I guess I missed that, but Wendy loves Jason, and the question was if Jason calls Wendy and says, "Hey Wendy, maybe we can hang out, but you got to know I'm a big Joe Biden fan." And I might need to watch MSNBC and talk about Joe Biden, and you just have to know it's part of me. And will you be okay with that? So do you think that she was? You didn't hear it, right?
I didn't hear.
So do you think she would be okay with it, or do you think she would be like, no, fuck Biden, or do you think she would be just like, all right, whatever?
No, I think the MSNBC thing would be a trigger for her because MSNBC is the liberal news media who is all fake news and a bunch of liars and secret Chinese Biden fans.
Well, you're wrong.
And Hunter really runs the network.
You're wrong. She was Team Jason and she was willing to put up with Biden. And I enjoyed that call a lot.
So we found a way to reach the Trump supporters, find someone that they like in common.
Yep.
And go through the common trusted person.
Yes, it was effective. Maybe only if they're mentally retarded. That might only we have to do more research on that. So then they wrapped up the show with Howard talking about that show that he loves, I Am Jazz, about the trans teen.
Right. That is just the weirdest. I just don't understand how you have a healthy. Well, obviously, I'm asking a stupid question, but how do you have a healthy process for someone transitioning with that type of attention constantly? No matter how good they are at handling attention.
I haven't seen the show, so I can't really.
It's a reality show about a transition.
I get it. I agree with you. It's an excellent point for sure. Yeah. And they're young. They're very young, right? And
he was saying about like telling her mother to leave because she was making out with her boyfriend. And it's like, that's just not a normal family dynamic.
It's like what Robin always says about the Dr. Drew show. I forgot what it's called with the addicts.
Right, Celebrity Rehab, is that it?
Right, is really the best way to get help by going on a reality show.
Right,
it's probably not.
And Artie was always like, does he really want us to get better? I mean, he's doing a show, okay?
So Howard's talking about that, and he was referencing his bit he did with his parents' voices, where he was saying like, "Oh, I'm trans," and how his parents wouldn't understand anything. His parents just
trans what?
They're not interested in anything he's ever done, and
how deep
his vagina would be. But he shouted out. Whenever he talks about his parents not listening to him or not noticing his pain growing up and how he just wanted to get out of Roosevelt, he always shouts out my hometown of Merrick
as
being the ideal place because that's where the white people were, basically. His parents were looking at houses in Freeport, which is all black people, and they found the prices to be very good. But in Merrick, the prices were too high and the houses were shitty. And that's why they didn't want to go to Merrick.
The houses were shitty and too pricey.
Right. Yes. You got a shitty house for too much money. And he always brings up Merrick, and he's right. Like, I grew up, when I went to high school, we had one black person in my high school.
Me too.
How many people were in your high school?
I don't know, a couple hundred. It was a small high school.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It wasn't only one of us. I think there might have been 4.
Right. Might as well have been one.
Maybe
though.
7
right.
out of the few hundred.
Yeah. So Howard was in the right. He was right about that, I guess, if that's what. But also, Merrick, in the news recently during a Black Lives Matter protest.
Yeah, you sent me that. That was crazy.
There were a lot of people who were anti-Black Lives Matter from Merrick telling the people to go back to Freeport.
Jesus. And this, how many years ago did Howard have this happen in his life?
That's a long time ago.
60 years, 50 years ago, let's say, or 50, let's say 60 years ago. And fast forward 60 years, he wasn't. It hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed all that much, probably. Well, right? Long Island is notorious for having a very racist real estate system, and the Newsday did a investigation. If you Google Newsday real estate scandal, you'll find it. Huge. I forgot what that term is called, where you put certain races in certain neighborhoods, but that's what they were doing. Like, it was ridiculous and illegal. So that was Monday's show. Tuesday's show starts off with Howard talking about the show The Equalizer. Do you know that show with Queen Latifah?
A little Equalizer discussion on a Tuesday.
No, because I'm not watching. I saw the commercial for that during the Super Bowl.
I liked the movie with Denzel, though.
Sure.
It was awesome. It was a little bit forced. Like, it's not a big story movie, if you will.
Yeah.
But I do miss, like, the Charles Bronson just get to the action and blow them up and break them down, and jujitsu. Everybody knows jujitsu. And
I watch movies. I watch like kung fu movies. So when I it's the same thing, and it's all about the action to total running time ratio. It's got to have, the ratio needs to be very strong.
Yes.
So Howard was talking about The Equalizer and that he loves the Denzel movies.
Right.
And even probably, I don't remember if he liked the old TV show, but he says he does not like, Queen Latifah is not believable as the Equalizer because she kicks so much ass, but she doesn't look like she can move very much. And it's just hard to get to that point of believing that she has those abilities.
Well, evidently she needs to deny the Holocaust existence like Gina Carano, and then I'll just buy it.
But Howard said he's going to watch it.
Have you seen it?
No, I'm not watching that. I don't.
But well, see, I feel like okay. So here's the thing. I've been trying to educate myself as a man, and just recognizing that there's more that I need to do actively, as opposed to sit back and be educated about inequality with women.
Watching The Equalizer cannot be the answer to any of what you just said. That's all I know.
The thing. How come she got the show? Is it really that unbelievable? He's one guy, right? So is it really that unbelievable? Is it possible that we are easy for us? Because look at Denzel Washington as an old man. Is it believable that he could do that?
That's what Robin said.
We've seen him do it in other movies.
That's exactly what Robin said. And she said, look at the Steven Seagal movies. The guy is like,
right.
But Howard was like, well, at one point he could fight.
Well, that's where okay, conversation over. Steven Seagal, you're going to...
But at one point he could fight. Now Howard admits that he can't even like lift his legs anymore. So it's only like punching, really.
He looks like so weird.
But after all the complaints, Howard's like, I'm still going to...
like the slow walk. He looks like one of those guys, like if you ever see it on YouTube, like the fake Tai Chi Kung Fu masters, and they'll touch a guy and the guy will fly back. And that's what Steven Seagal looks like.
He's wearing a muumuu, I'm pretty sure, in most of his movies. But Howard said he's going to, no matter what, he's still going to watch The Equalizer, even though he thinks it's weird that she can't fight.
Now I might check it out.
Right. Good. Let's report back to us. Ronnie came on then with fake Donald Trump and did his top 10 hot women of TV, none of which I heard of except for the number 10 women, which was Gabrielle Union and Jessica Biel. I'm not sure what show they're on, but those are the only two I heard of.
I don't know. I just haven't been watching enough current TV, especially not enough network TV.
I don't watch any network TV.
Yeah, it's hard for me, man. It's got to be really, really good. Or some things I watch just because I'm gonna watch them. Like, well, this was a good one. The one that was about the Hannibal Lecter.
Clarice,
series.
You watch Clarice?
No, I haven't seen that. I'm saving that one.
Oh, the other one, Hannibal. Before. You watched Hannibal?
Yeah, that was good, but. I mean, did Roddy mention any names that you could recognize at all?
No, just Jessica Alba and Gabrielle Union, and that is all.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they going to find a? I think they're searching for Ronnie to have like a home bit, like a segment where it's not. It hasn't been a good fit yet.
No, and the problem with Ronnie, there's a lot of problems. Now's a good time to talk about it. So he did this bit, and they had Trump. Did you hear it at all? They had the fake Trump.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah. I heard. I think I heard the whole thing.
Ronnie does not like sharing airtime at all. So he was very hostile. He was very hostile to fake Trump. I mean, you might think it's because Ronnie's a Trump fan or whatever, but I don't think that's it at all. I think it's, hey, this guy, anytime this guy opens his mouth, that's less time that I'm talking. And that's the most important thing and that's what he gets paranoid about too. He gets paranoid about people taking his airtime.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what you're right. That's what he was with Apples too. The caller. That's what he was complaining about too.
And we'll talk about that. We're going to get to that in a minute, and I have more to talk about Ronnie. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting how we dissect Ronnie, and we find out he does not play well with others in that regard. Maybe the small circle of the staff. The on-air people on the staff. But outside of that circle, I think he's very hostile against anybody taking his airtime.
Well, he doesn't have Howard's ear anymore. He used to have that select time, sort of like Ralph used to have Howard's ear to a degree.
Yep.
So when you lose that kind of access, for you guys listening now, I can't direct the CADcast anymore because I used to twist his arm during the ping pong gaming that we.
He's lost access. He's totally lost access.
This is the only access I have. Right.
Exactly. Then they went to talk about Tom Brady being drunk and how weird it was and how he threw the trophy.
Right. Yeah.
Howard's I hate how the world is now where something could happen where Tom Brady throws a trophy to his teammate over the water, and then the daughter of the person who makes the trophy is now complaining that it's not respectful for the trophy. And he hates how everybody's complaints get pushed can easily be pushed to the social discussion because of social media, podcasts. Everybody has a voice now, and Howard hates that.
So yeah, right.
Because it's stupid. That is stupid. That is stupid. That's a dumbass complaint.
Hold on. Let's just take a step back. One, Brady. I told you this weeks ago. There's something off with the guy. I told you that. It's just not good. These are not good signs. Mr. Controlled and Mr. Super Iceman.
He's allowed to get drunk after winning the Super Bowl.
Sure, but this is a little bit different than what I've seen. I've never seen articles about Brady doing things like that where people are so offended because he would know that it's sacred. I mean, that's his whole world. It's football. Right. He sees the importance of it. To me, when you take the trophy that you spent like a child, he just doesn't give a shit about it anymore.
But you know what's interesting? My opinion. But you know what's interesting, okay? I used to watch a lot of hockey. The Stanley Cup, remember? The Stanley Cup is notorious. People they would take shits in it. They would, didn't Jackie say, something, they brought it to the Stern Show. Gretzky brought it to the, or Messier, somebody brought it to the Stern Show. And
I didn't know.
I don't know. Jackie did something to it, I feel. I don't know. Something happened, but so that trophy is very highly respected by anybody who cares anything about hockey. Yet that trophy, it's okay to do anything. People would throw it in their pool. They would do anything. It was a weird thing. I think Howard's right about
is a world of contradictions, my friend.
Yes, it is.
They glorify a lot of questionable behavior and they protect it, and it's fine until it gets seen out, but the public. But I just say on the lady's side, she doesn't own the trophy, so it's okay. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they came to her for an article, but it seemed a little bit. It's just a little bit out there. Come on now. Come on now. I was offended by watching his behavior too, but it wasn't because the trophy's so. He should be respectful. This is important to a lot of people. There's teams that lost that spent a lot of time trying to get there, and he should treat it with respect. Sort of like respecting an office, even if you don't want the job. You should respect, like I should, we should make an effort to wash ourselves if we're going to put our stream on the internet, just so people can, we respect their time.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit old fashioned that way, but I thought it's like, come on, man, you just won the championship for your whole field. A lot of people respect you. You're just going to act like I could give two shits if this sinks to the bottom of the ocean.
Look, it's like Howard now. Like he's at the end of his career.
Okay.
Howard still cares about the show, but he certainly does not care about it on the level that he did when he was young and hungry and fighting to become number one. You can tell, and I don't mean this to offend Howard, but the show used to be the only thing that Howard did. Remember, he would do the show. He would go to his room, wherever he was staying, and basically prepare for the next show. That was his life. Because he was driven. Now, I'm sure it's like the opposite of that. He's got a whole staff of people doing stuff for him, and he probably just wants to show up and do a show and not put that much time into it like he used to. And I feel that he's deserved that. He's earned that to make that decision at this point. And, we can decide whether we still want to listen or not. We're all rational people, can make our own decisions. But certainly Howard has earned the right to coast a little at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess I just thought because I guess just having family members that are so into football and spent so much time hoping that they could play at higher levels, and it not being a football person to myself, I was like, wow, that looks like a little bit of risque behavior.
Right.
But
no, for sure. For sure.
He won it. So.
He was drunk. He was just having trouble walking.
Him. They had to walk.
I know. I haven't been that drunk in
remember when Arnie was that drunk at the
yes.
in Vegas?
Yes, I do remember that. Okay. Later in the show, Marianne calls in to complain about liberal bullshit. Did you hear her complain? She yelled at Howard because they were talking about the Bruce Springsteen DUI.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's such a trigger for those people. They're they love Bruce so much, man.
But Marianne was pissed because she was seeing a cover-up because apparently he got arrested a couple months ago and it's not coming out till now. And she's like, Howard, your liberal friends, liberal bullshit. How come we're just finding about it now? And she was mad at Howard, and I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I had nothing to do with anything. And I don't even know what got her all riled up.
Well, that was the first. I don't think she's ever had an argument with Howard.
Yeah, that was weird.
I've never seen them fight.
And why would she care about fucking Bruce Springsteen's DUI?
Because she likes to be, a lot of people feel like they are a victim in our world today. And they, everybody feels like they're being victimized in some way. Like the woman whose father made the trophy.
Right, exactly.
But I think Marianne has a hairline trigger when it comes to liberal and conservatism. And I think she's kind of like that. I mean, if you think about it, she kind of embodies the kind of person that the Bruce would be singing to. So I don't think there's a lot of thought behind the defense. It's just a reaction.
It was a weird trigger. What I mean? It was, yeah.
Isn't Bruce a liberal too? I don't even know what his political beliefs are.
He's very liberal. And
so why would the liberal friends be leaking?
I don't understand what her problem was. It was very weird.
It was very weird. I don't even understand how they could talk about it that long. Jason and
that was
odd. That was just really weird.
Gary, because Jason felt like Gary's defending Bruce too much. Like Jason needed to get in there, and I love Jason. I know he's one of the most hated staff members, but I really like Jason. I think he's really good for the show, and he knows what's good for the show.
Yeah, and
so him being a dick is good for the show.
Yeah. I like Jason as well, but it's always I'm like that caller where I feel so sad when I see Gary and him interact that way, because I just remember those are my golden years. Even when Jason was before he got the happy pills, and I just I remember Gary Jason's my boy. Jason this, Jason that, Jason's me when I'm not here. And that And now Jason's like, you don't have an office. You don't have an office.
Right. That's not an office. Like, the door was open. The door was open. It doesn't matter.
It's like, wow.
You're in a live studio situation. I can go through your stuff. Like, that didn't really make any sense.
And you that's how you talk to your former mentor.
Yep. Yeah, it's well, they love each other. Anyway, let's move on. Yeah, Howard went back to Sternak, the improbable.
Right.
That was a little bit of a stumble. I felt like Howard.
A bit of a stumble.
Bit of a stumble. I predicted 2 of the punchlines on those. I wasn't listening that intently. Yeah, totally. But I predicted 2 of them.
What was it?
The Robin Hood one about being Robin's clit, and he did one a GameStop, Bitcoin, and Asian Pete.
Yeah, I felt like it when you get to the point, you got to explain the bit before you do it.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta say maybe it's aged out.
If I see the punchlines coming, that's a bad sign. That's always a bad sign. Anyway, they then went on to later in the show, they had some good calls. Some guy called in and he needed help with erectile dysfunction. That was sort of interesting. But the most interesting part was Apples calls in to ask a question about Stephanie's Instagram posting that had some boxes of sugar cereal in the back. And Apples was like, hey, Ron, you're not eating all that sugary food, right? Like, that's not going to be good for you. We want to keep you healthy. And Ronnie got really upset about it and thought this is paranoia popping up and thinking that
I knew this was going to happen. I told her not to put the picture up.
Thinking that Apples is trying to, I don't know, he would insinuate that they're copying Beth because Beth said she likes Lucky Charms and those were in the picture. All this shit. Anyway, as a tangent, I was on YouTube and I saw there was a video called "The Origin of Do" on this, and it was it was I guess the official. It's on the official Stern Show YouTube, and I clicked on it, and the video starts off with Howard talking about how paranoid Ronnie is all the time, and that it's really crazy, and then gets on to Ronnie saying "do," but mostly my takeaway was like Ronnie's been paranoid for a long time. And he's paranoid about Apples trying to insinuate that he's a shitty person. And then, of course, Apples taking his airtime.
Well, I mean, in his defense, though, Apples, when you call, Apples, for one, is an example of a good caller.
Okay.
Because he got straight to the point. And you have that impulse like, I want to talk to Howard. But what you really want to think about is I want Howard to talk based off what I said, because then he won't hang up. Right. And then half an hour later, you'll say 3 more words, and then he'll go on. And then next time you call the next day, you'll actually get on. So just for our super fans out there, fellow super fans who are actual callers, because you and I evidently don't have the time to call. Although I do love listening to the callers.
Well, it brings up right into Wednesday's show.
Go.
Because we have a caller who calls in and wants to get Howard to talk about Governor Cuomo.
Right.
Because there's a controversy about the nursing homes and hiding numbers.
Right. And when they shared the information with the public and with the federal government, and were they trying to avoid a federal inquiry.
Correct. Howard was talking about what's going on in Texas and about how the government is incompetent there.
And evidently Texas is above the wall and is frozen.
Right. And so this caller calls in and he's like, hey, what about your boy Cuomo? What about that?
Right.
But it's another disingenuous caller who's not really interested in like a discussion about that. He's interested in making Howard look bad. And Howard sees through that right away. And he could have called up and just said, hey, Howard, nothing against Governor Cuomo, but what do you think about this controversy that's going on about the nursing home numbers? And don't make it about like Howard's fandom of Governor Cuomo that may or may not exist, or like Howard being right or wrong. Just, hey, Howard, what do you think about that?
Right.
Without like shoving it in his face. Like, it's not that hard.
Right. I know. I'm almost tempted myself to call like on their behalf and give a coherent question, because what makes it feel lopsided is because you don't get that side. No one calls in with something that's worth having any discussion on. Or when the discussion starts, they try to divert away from
hard.
It sucks to represent an idea that you may not have a lot of facts or data points to support, but you got to be open to hearing the facts and the data points wherever they are. It's just, I mean, I really am tempted to call in and say, Howard, you talk a lot about these other governors with good points, and one thing that doesn't get as much attention is Governor Cuomo and his situation with the nursing homes. Does that make you upset?
Anything. Just don't phrase it like you're trying to make Howard look like an asshole, because he'll see that coming, and he knows that you're not looking to have a real conversation. You're just trying to make him look bad. Right. So that happened while Howard was talking about Texas on Wednesday. I did enjoy Mildred from Texas. That's the Blue Iris impression that's done by Chris Wilding. I thought it was Mike Trainer, but apparently, according to Mark's Friggin, it's Chris Wilding. And I like that.
Yes. No. The Blue Iris is definitely Wilding. You could hear the voice. You could hear his voice.
I wish they would just use the name Blue Iris and forget about Mildred, because let's honor Blue Iris. I mean, I know she's not around anymore, but I want to think about her whenever possible. So yeah, I do enjoy that. I do enjoy those calls.
He's wearing a Depends.
I'm wearing a negligee. Then Bobo called in about Bruce Springsteen and like, Howard, what about Bruce drinking from strangers? Because Bruce got arrested for the DUI, and he was
during
drinking.
A pandemic even,
during a pandemic, and that was a good point. I thought about that myself. Like, what is Bruce doing hanging out in a park and drinking out of other people's cups during a pandemic? And Howard went off. He's like, that's not what I would do. Like, we know that. He's like, I see fans. I go in the other direction. But and then we found out that Bobo stalked Fred. Bobo's like, yeah, I hung out with Fred once, because they were talking about Fred riding motorcycles, because Bruce was riding a motorcycle. And Fred's like, we weren't hanging out. You were just like, you showed up to someplace that I was, and we're next to me. You were stalking.
He said it was just like when you went, Bobo was hanging out with you when your kids were born.
At the hospital.
Because for those who may not be aware, Bobo is a super caller forever. And he found out where Howard's, was it the firstborn? The hospital
one of
where
the kids,
one of his children was being born, and he showed up to the hospital and told them that he was Howard's family member, and they let him into the area where his family was. So Howard's like sitting there with Bobo.
I'm shocked that Howard still
for his first kid to get born.
Don't you think it's a little unlike Howard to actually still have him on the show? Because that's some potentially dangerous situations there, and maybe you want to like cut that guy off before it gets worse. You feel like that would be the Howard way. What's that?
But everybody around him, he wants to be loved. Everybody around him is from that. Ralph was a fan, wrote him a letter. He wanted to do his makeup and stuff for the Channel 9 show. And Howard said, sure, because Ralph said that his makeup and stuff was terrible on the Channel 9 show, and he can do costumes and whatever. Ronnie wanted to drive him, wrote him a letter, famously, as Howard says, in crayon. Whether that is true or not, we don't know, but he likes to go to it every time.
It's probably
Sal,
a thick magic
super
marker.
Fan.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, the only, Jason, super fan.
John Hine.
John Hine, right? So
everybody.
Everybody. It's his process.
Yep.
I do find it surprising. That's why I say Bobo's calls, we should rate them, because he puts them on frequently.
This was fine.
There is a frequency.
This one was fine. They didn't make fun of him too much, I don't think.
Bobo's not so stupid.
He's a little stupid. I thought there's a few interesting things on Wednesday's show, actually. I'd say the top two for me was when Apples called back to sort of follow up with Ronnie's Instagram post, and where we discover that Ronnie just does not like people fucking with his airtime, or worse, potentially with people have the intention of making Ronnie look bad. He does not like that unless it's Howard.
Right. Ronnie, he's too sensitive. He just defaults to taking it personally. Yep. And I think it makes him really upset when he knows he's being tweaked by callers who are trying to get on. In his defense, Apples is a comedian in his bio, and he wants exposure. Who doesn't? Callers want to call in so they can hear their voice, or people, they want to get on. That's normal. It's fine.
Right.
It's what it is.
That was the insult that Ronnie was saying. Like, oh, he wants airtime. Well, yeah, he's calling into the show. You don't call into the show unless you want to be on the air.
Right.
And that's a big part of the show is taking calls. In fact, one of the best calls this week was learning about, this was from the other day, but the couple that are having sex 6 times a week.
That was weird, wasn't it? That was like the memento moment.
Yes, the guy has a bad memory.
The guy has no short-term memory.
Yes. But
I think it does affect your libido. I think that it is noted with
definitely
significant severe short-term memory loss.
Yep, it makes sense.
With the increased libido.
Then they did the cleaning out the computer bit. I really enjoyed learning more about JD's bad card habits. Card breaks. I never heard of card breaks.
The mental illness in that office. Like he's collecting these cards and they're always like losing money. That's how you know it's a bad behavior.
It's gambling. It's like gambling for children. Basically.
The worst. Like gambling for kids and wanting to lose it at the end of the game.
It's so weird. It's really like
oh, dude. It was like what was it? We don't have time for it. Oh man. Well, maybe we'll talk about it another time. KC, when he lost like $350,000 like in a week.
KC?
Yeah.
How did KC have $350,000?
Won it gambling on online poker.
Oh my god.
When that was like was kind of new territory back in the day.
Right.
And he won, and then everybody's like, KC, you should just take the money out, man. Just take it out. No, I'm gonna run with it. We're going good. I feel good about it. A week later, all gone.
Yeah,
$350.
Yep.
Life-changing money. So Jason, please, not Jason, JD, he's getting the
yes.
But it wasn't like Pokemon cards though. It was like baseball cards, right?
They're high-end baseball cards, but the idea is that you're gambling, you're buying slots into some guy opening a pack and you can win the card. It's like seems ridiculous. Just buy some fucking stock. It's not supposed to be a game investing in the money.
Right.
Like I don't know. It seems very weird for me. I don't like to judge other people's hobbies because I like to do some things that people might think are weird, but that's weird. And I also, I like DJing and to nobody. DJing to nobody is a pretty weird hobby. We also learned that John Hine is like kind of a serious gambler.
Yeah.
And that he's been kicked out of casinos for a casino for potentially, they thought he was counting cards for blackjack. But he was just, I don't know what he was doing, but he was just losing money apparently.
I keep thinking of that Rich Nerd song when John
He's a rich nerd. I called into the wrap-up show twice, and I asked a question about John Hine.
You are a caller, haha.
Wrap-up show,
okay.
Wrap-up show only, and I asked if John Hine, what did I ask? If he had any regrets selling Jump the Shark because I think this is what I asked because I know that the site does not exist anymore. They took it. Yes, that's what I asked. Because they took the site down now. If you go to jumptheshark.com, it just goes to TV Guide or something. But he said that he does have a copy of the site saved on a computer at home.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Something to keep in the back of your mind. We can always get to Jump the Shark if needed. Like the apocalypse comes for real.
Right.
We know what to say. Jump the Shark.
Right. Oh, that caller with the sex 6 times a day was from today. It was from that segment.
Okay.
I got to go take my kid to math.
Right.
And that was pretty much it. They played the clip. I like the clips of the sports clips with the golfers farting because there's no crowd anymore and people saying fucking shit after they mess up after, they strike out or whatever.
It's a great measure for the progression of society. We went from Baba Booey to fucking shit and farting.
Right.
You take away the crowds and it just gets worse.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you can hear them better. It's probably all there. You just can't hear it. It's nothing's changed. It's just it's quieter.
It's great irony though. I mean, to be before Baba Booey was the complaint, and now there's no Baba Booey shouting. It's just farting.
Right, and hearing the players curse and hearing all the players curse like they normally do.
Right.
All right, let's say goodbye to everybody. Let's remind everybody follow us on Twitter. At Proper Mod Pod is the Twitter account.
Proper Mod Pod.
And you can find this show in podcast form anywhere. Just Google us. Google Proper Modulation Podcast.
And check us out on the YouTubes. on the Twitches.
3:00 on Friday, we're on Twitch, New York time. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.